should also be reflective of the value of pending application petitions that are in the inventory, because we don't actually earn the revenue until we complete the work on it. So USCIS budget structure is unique, and it has a really unusual sort of business orientation to it that's a little bit different than components that are funded through appropriations, where once Congress passes an appropriation bill, they know how much money they have in the bank, and then their challenge is to manage within it. We have a little bit more flexibility because our budget is really outside of the appropriations process, because we were given a permanent indefinite appropriation. So we go to Congress with our expected revenue for the new year. They give us that spending authority. So that's a lot of information, but really the core of all that is that through activity-based costing and biennial fee reviews, that's how we determine whether our fees are appropriate to recover full cost.
Sort of follow up on
Yes,
that,
sir.
does that allow you room for like capital reinvestment with that new year funding?
Yes, we actually, in fiscal year 2000, we implemented a fee that's called our premium processing fee, where we allow businesses to pay an extra $1,220. That fee just got adjusted recently up to like $1,400 to streamline their processing of a non-immigrant employment petition. We're able to use that money to go out and make capital investments. So that's really been a key source for us to go out and refresh IT systems, workstations, networks, do some cyber security activity that Chip talked about, and really has enabled us to resource our electronic immigration system. That's the sort of the backbone of our electronic processing initiative at the agency. So that's our primary source for that, but our other fees also allow us to spend on that if we choose to.
Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Continue their point. Was wondering, so when you have surpluses,
Yes.
that means you're able to keep them?
Yes.
Retain, they are not unavailable, and you have to request to use your surpluses to get them?
Well, they're retained in our Treasury account symbol, but we have to go to Congress each year and get them to provide us a spending authority that allows us to spend those down. So part of our annual budgeting process is to assess not only new revenue, but the value of money carried over from a prior fiscal year, and then we try to spend down to a certain level, preserving an amount that we believe is necessary to protect the long-term fiscal health of the agency. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it was mentioned, our budget now is, our fee funding is up around $4 billion a year, so it's a pretty large enterprise that we manage over at USCIS.
So, same topic, the fee funds do not affect your personnel payment, correct? Personnel pay?
We do pay personnel out of the fee accounts, yes. All our operating costs, personnel, non-personnel costs are funded through our fees. We have about $130 million of appropriated funding that supports our E-Verify program, but everything else at USCIS is fee funded. So it's a little unique.
Last question. Nicole?
Perhaps our CFO team isn't aware that on a monthly basis, all 14 CFOs meet called under the guise of the CFO Council, which is chaired by Stacy. I would like to ask the panelists, what do you appreciate most out of those meetings, or what do you get out of that monthly confab?
So I'll start. It's always nice to know that we're not the only ones being picked on. So, no, I think, you know, and I think this is a good lesson for anyone. When you go to those ones, a lot of the problems you're having or a lot of issues you're having are shared across the components. And I think it's good to be able to talk to people and see how they're solving. The second one is you kind of learn it from the emergency response side of the Coast Guard. You never want to meet anyone in the middle of the night over the hood of a truck, and what we always say is that's emergency response, and you're meeting the fire department or something like that. That's not when you want to meet someone when you need them the first time. So those CFO Council and Stacy's gone a step further to make them a little bit of breakfast, so it's just kind of a nice meeting type. It allows you to really interact with the people and be able to make those contacts and be able to call and say, hey, we're having a unique problem. How have you guys done this? How have you guys solved that? And it's amazing when you build those networks, how much that can provide back to you professionally and personally too, so we really appreciate it.
I really appreciate, the thing I really appreciate the most is that Stacy allows me to call in to most of those meetings. So, you don't know how much I really do appreciate that, so thank you for that. But I agree with what the Admiral says. It's the interaction, the sharing of the issues. We all have pretty common issues that we're working on, so, there may be an approach that I haven't thought of that somebody else has already done and said, oh, you need to take a look at this. And also, the Admiral mentioned the breakfast. Every now and then we'll do a CFO breakfast, and it's separate from the CFO council meeting, and it's more, it is more interactive, just us sitting around the table and me on the iPhone in the middle of the table, talking, just about things that bother us or keep us up at night on a daily basis. So that's the interaction and the networks is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd just say that the CFO council meetings, and we have joint council meetings with other lines of business, I think all of these things to me reinforce the cohesion within the communities that we need to be able to operate effectively across the department. A lot of the topics that are talked about during these meetings don't always apply to each of us, but it's just really helpful to be aware of what's going on within the department, so when I'm back at my component and I hear of something, I can call Tom and say, hey, what are y'all doing over there, man? But usually it's when surge capacity force hits and we have to deploy our people from USCI. So it really it helps build the relationships among the CFOs, but it's just that cohesion. And I'll say what I like most about the CFO Council is breakfast, the small breakfast, is it's only the CFOs. It's a time when we can act as a bunch of kids. And I know y'all can't believe it because CFOs are kind of buttoned up smart guys, but no, we love to rib each other and give each other a hard time, and that's our safe space. And that just, again, is all intended to build that cohesion and that community within the CFO. So we're able to go back to our components and share what we hear and make sure that our team, our managers and so forth are up to speed. So across the department, everybody's aware of what's happening. I think that's incredibly important.
Thanks, Joe. I didn't know I had a safe space.
I think I do, because the way I throw zingers at you.
Well, we'll make this the last two. Go ahead and go ahead and green shirt. You go ahead, and then we'll get this one.
You mentioned the surge capacity reports, and throughout the day, I think everybody up there has mentioned, get out, learn your customer, or go to a different detail. I had the benefit of being in the Coast Guard for 24 years before I got a job as a financial manager with the Coast Guard. So I do know my customers, all the way down the line, and that has helped me do my job. If anybody has that opportunity to go out and see what their customers do it. And if you want to see what other components do, the surge capacity force is a great tool. It's just what for them, I guess, but it's a great tool. FEMA really appreciates the extra boots on the ground. You get to see what the boots on the ground are doing, and it's really it's a great touch point between you as a federal civil servant and the public. It's one of the good news stories out there when you can actually be the person on the ground to help out that. Because most of the time it's just, we're screwing up here, we're screwing up there, but that really does give you a better sense of purpose about how important what the job DHS does throughout the different agencies.
Yeah, and those of us that are back in the home office supporting Surge Patch, we love them because, man, I tell you, I love getting mission assignments. I love having to create reimbursable agreements, and I love having to call and ask Tom, why are you kicking back my taxes? Because your supporting documentation good enough. Then I got to go to my team and say, can we get it right, folks, please? No, it's a lot. The Surge Patch Force is one thing. It's just another example of how within our community there's a lot that we do, and even though we have first responders, there's a whole lot of back office work that goes into making sure that those are paid properly, timely, that we're all being reimbursed through the DIRF, or Disaster Relief Fund. So it's a good thing.
All right. Last question.
Yeah, so at the component level, what can we at Oversight do to help you guys support, improve that relationship between the component and us at DHS CFO level?
I'm sorry, say
what can we do from the oversight level to help our components? So how can we help that relationship?
I'll start. Katie gives me a lot of them, so Katie. She said, Joe, we need to start tracking the investment spending against the procurement identifier and all these things. No, I kid, but I think those relationships are important because, you know, we sometimes, you know, feel a little bit of rub when we're getting all these new tasks and assignments coming at us. But I always tell the team, I try to take a step back, understand where's the origin of the need. And then once you really understand it, it's like, okay, I get it. We need to work on that. And I like to tease Katie because she and I spend a lot of time arguing over, I don't have a common accounting structure that allows me to put your unique ID into my string, so I have to have a workaround. She's like, okay, Joe, but once you do, you're going to, I got it. But I think as long as we continue to collaborate with one another, and we all understand that coming out of the department, everybody's trying to improve, and we just have to embrace that and accept it and work together.
And I'd say you know, I've been around for a while, so 2003 when the department was standing up, we kind of went, boy, wish the department was a little more mature and could help us with X, Y, and Z. It was 2018, and sometimes we're going, boy, I wish the department wasn't so mature and could help us with all this thing. but truthfully, I gotta tell you, I would much rather be getting asked hard questions that provide help from the department than having that happen once I get out in the public or up on the hill. And so I think the one thing we ask is be partners with us on those kind of things. Ask the hard questions, expect answers, but look to understand and help us out. Because I think once you guys do that what you can do to advocate for us is always helpful to us in the end. So.
I was going to say nothing. They probably wouldn't fly. But yeah, down in Georgia, we're kind of out of sight, out of mind anyway. But yeah, I echo what they said, just the collaboration, partnership. And a little understanding that, you know, like an organization like FLETC, the person you're talking to is probably doing about 15 things that aren't related to the question that you're asking. And so just, you know, just the communication there, I think would be ideal.
Thank you. Well, that was a great panel, and thank you so much, and I think these guys got a lot out of it. Thank you for your time.